So much clarity from this speech, but anyway, here's the Labor leader. Let's have a listen.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. As a deep reflection on the lands we stand tonight, I want to recognise the Palawa people of Lutruwita and pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge any Aboriginal people who are in the room with us this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a lot that's unclear about tonight, but it is clear that Tasmanians have voted to reject the Liberals. It's going to be a long night and likely a long few weeks until we know the exact makeup of the next Parliament. Thank you to the people of Tasmania who have chosen to give their support to Labor candidates this election. I'm proud to see so many Labor candidates across the state have been supported by their communities to be elected to represent them, and on their behalf I say thank you. I'm really proud of the campaign that Labor ran. I'm really proud of our candidates, I'm really proud of our volunteers, and I'm really proud of the plan that we laid out for the Tasmanian community this election. A plan that is grounded in putting Tasmanians first. There are still votes to be counted, but what is clear is the Liberal Party will not be getting a majority. Tasmanians have humbled a Premier who called an early election expecting to be returned in majority. Tasmanians have clearly voted for change. And when the Liberals called this early election, the second in 3 years, they called it not because they wanted to address the cost of living, not because they wanted to start turning around our health system, not because they wanted to give young people hope that they might one day own their own home, but because they couldn't even work with people from their own party. Which means that dealing with a crossbench the size the Tasmanian community looks to have returned in this election will be a very difficult task for them to manage with respect. Because respect requires an honest appreciation that the voters cannot be sent back to do it again, and that each member of the crossbench represents a constituency that has to be listened to. Humble people don't speak of a coalition of chaos whenever they don't get their own way, or claim a victory when the results aren't clear. They pick up the phone and they talk to people. Strong but humble leaders accept the responsibility of making the Parliament that the Tasmanian people have chosen work for all of our communities and for all of our regions. The final makeup of this Parliament will not be known for some time, but it is clear that Jeremy Rockliff will not be in a position to do so without the support of at least 4 members of the crossbench. Whether he can ultimately remain as Premier will be up to the members who are ultimately elected. I want to recognise that tonight will be a difficult one for him, having called an early election demanding stability, and instead the Liberal Party have seen a massive drop in their primary vote. After 22 years in the Parliament and 10 as the Deputy Premier and as the Premier, Jeremy has given an enormous amount to this state, and I want to acknowledge that tonight and also thank him and his family for their contribution, because there would have been a lot of sacrifices given over those years. However, this election has been decisive in its message that there needs to be change. I'm proud of the fact that Labor has laid out a plan to take urgent action on the cost of living, to ensure that Tasmanians pay a Tasmanian price for Tasmanian power, to build more affordable childcare and provide free school lunches. We've laid out a plan to build more houses for people who need them, to make life easier for renters and to ensure the dream of home ownership is put back within the reach of Tasmanians who've lost hope. We've set out a plan to start repairing our health system, to train more nurses, more doctors, more paramedics, and to provide them with the infrastructure and support that they need to care for Tasmanians. And I acknowledge that on tonight's results, Labor will need the support of the Parliament to implement these plans. And I've said that we won't be entering into any coalitions and there will only be Labor ministers in a government that I lead. And these things and our plans are not up for negotiation. But whether we get the chance to implement our agenda will depend on how things play out over the next few weeks. For tonight, it is clear that the Tasmanian community has rejected the past and wants change. It is over conflict for conflict's sake. This election outcome requires us to respect those who differ in their political colour, and Tasmanians have told us loudly through this result that they want a government and a parliament that works for them. Tonight, I would also like to convey my deep thanks to every single person who supported me personally and the Labor Party as we've campaigned throughout this election. Firstly, I want to thank my family and my friends for their unwavering support. Thank you so much for always standing beside me and holding me up at times when it's been necessary. Thank you to my deputy, Anita Dow, who's been a rock. Anita is a marvellous, hard-working person who has put her heart and soul into this campaign, and I'm incredibly proud to call her a friend. Thank you to my team, and in particular to my Chief of Staff, Marcus Atkinson. Thank you for your hard work and your dedication, which has been such a strength to me and all of us as you've led from the front. To the Acting State Secretary, Jared Moore, and to the former State Secretary, Stuart Benson. Thank you. Thank you for your commitment to our movement, for the many, many, many hours that you put in and the effort you gave to make sure that our campaign was as strong as it was. It is a privilege to do this job with some of the best and most genuine people I have ever worked with. To our candidates, and I can see some of your faces in the room tonight, whether you've been successful tonight and whether it's still to be decided or whether you haven't quite made it, I want to thank you for putting yourself forward. Our democracy depends on people like you. And by putting your hand up, you've done a genuine act of public service and you've done our party proud. I want to thank the hundreds of Labor volunteers who've worked so hard across the state, talking to people, door-knocking, letterboxing. You are symptomatic of how our movement works at a grassroots level to grow support, and I'm so proud of each and every one of you. Throughout the campaign, we've elevated the stories of Tasmanians who are demanding a better future. We stood in their lounge rooms, we stood in their businesses, we sat around their kitchen tables. We helped share the story of Tasmania as it is and as it could be. And we asked for their support to help change the government so that we could deliver a better future for our state. Can I finish by saying just one last thing? Tonight's result demonstrates that there's been a significant shift in the way politics operates in Tasmania, and we can expect to see this happen again and again. It is very likely that Tasmania will continue to elect minority governments, particularly with a 35-seat parliament. It is also clear that people voted for change this election. We'll wait to see how the dust settles and for the final results to be determined. And Labor will be ready to work with the Parliament to implement our agenda and our plan for a better future for Tasmania if that is the will of the people. Thank you.